Hello and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to load up some of Kodak's Tri-X 120 film into my Twin Lens Reflex camera, my Yashica 24, which I've been really happy with the results to date using Ilford's HP5+. I'll put some examples up now, so I'll be really interested to compare them with Tri-X and see what kind of results I can get from this type of film. Since I last used the camera, I've also purchased a yellow filter to go onto obviously the shooting lens of the camera, and the idea that this filter will give a bit more kind of distinction between the kind of the darker skies and white clouds, and will also hopefully help enhance some of the foliage in my landscape shot in terms of the differentiation between the different types. So yeah, I'm really interested to give in this yellow filter a whirl, and what I'll probably do is I'll probably take some shots with it, some shots without, so I can kind of see the differentiation that I can get with or without this filter, and see whether it's kind of worth pursuing or using the filter again. Yeah, so I'll put some B-roll now with me putting the Tri-X into the Yashica. And also, if you followed me on previous videos, because this camera, the Yashica 24, was originally designed to load 220 film rather than 120 film, even though the camera has a start mark for 120 film, I haven't yet had a roll of film where I've been happy with the kind of the 12 exposures that it should be able to capture. So on the film, obviously there's a start mark, and I was going to just try and bring it up short of the actual corresponding start mark on the camera to see whether that makes any difference in being able to squeeze 12 exposures onto the roll of film. So yeah, again, I'll be really interested to see how that works this time around. Well, hello everyone. It's a glorious day today. I'm out at a place called Stinsford, which is on the outskirts of Dorchester, and it's been made famous basically because it's an area that Thomas Hardy grew up in, and his grave is in the nearby church in Stinsford itself. And as you can probably see already, I've already taken a few compositions already. It was too busy for me to actually feel comfortable talking to the camera in those scenes. So the first one was obviously Kingswood Moorwood House, which is now kind of a college, which I walked through, which was a lot of the B-roll was from. And then finally the Stinsford Church. There was a cool kind of looking doorway with the kind of the shadow of the sun cutting across it, and then kind of like a nice little staircase down to like a door, and I thought that was kind of a nice composition, so that's what I took. As you've probably just seen from the B-roll now, there's kind of old waterways, I guess, and you've still kind of got these kind of bridge-like structures where I'm guessing farmers and that used to be able to kind of transverse across to tend to their crops or cattle or whatever. So I was going to give this a go with the camera. Again, I'm gonna, as I've done so far, I'm not sure how it's working. You'll probably seeing how it's working before I will, but I'm basically taking a shot without the yellow filter, and then obviously I'm re-metering to then take the shot with the yellow filter on my Yashica. So if I get my gear ready now, and then I'll talk you through what kind of settings this composition is gonna have. What I'll do first is I'll focus it using this dial here. Actually, there's this little flick out where you can actually achieve critical focus a little bit more. There we go. So I've focused on the actual bridge. So that's probably about a third into the shot, so we'll give that a whirl. Right, so then the metering. Right, so it's on ISO 400 first. Give the subject a meter. Right, so I'm probably, for this scene, I'm probably going to go for f11 shutter speed 1/500th of a second and see how that goes. So f11 500th of a second. Let's just double check the focus looks good. So now I just need to work on composition. There we go. Like that. Cock it, and then it's ready for the next composition. So I'll just get the yellow filter out. So yellow filter just clips on to the lens like so. You need to set the light meter at ISO 200. So ISO 200, meter roughly in the way that I'm going to be shooting, like so, and then it's a null indicator, so then you just rotate the dial till the indicator indicates 0, and then even when the light meter goes off, you can still obviously use those settings as long as the light doesn't change too much to select what aperture and shutter speed that you want for your kind of composition. So I'm going to stick with f11, but this time it's telling me of a shutter speed between 1/200th of a second and 1/125th of a second. So give that a go on this composition, and that'll be that for this one. It's really hard with the parallax effect of this to kind of get the composition how you want it. I think that matches what I had before. I just need the sun. Just check the focus where I'm stood. And there we go. Same thing again, wind the camera on, and there we go, it's ready for the next exposure. So I'll run some more B-roll now, and where I find some interesting compositions. If I can't kind of talk you through it, I'll just put them up, and then I'll just have a wash up when I get back home and talk through the results. So I just found another one of those interesting kind of old waterway structures with kind of a sluice gate still attached to it. So I didn't film that one because my time is running out here in Dorchester, so I'll just put it up now and see what you think. So on to the next place. back in the office now from that relatively successful trip, because the photos came out really quite well considering it was quite a bright day, and I was experimenting with the yellow filter for my Yashica. When it came down to it though, when I was looking back through the images, I don't think the yellow filter made a massive amount of difference this time around, and I suspect it's because I was compensating for an additional kind of stop, because obviously the filter must be stopping some amount of light from reaching the film. So I think next time if I use the yellow filter, I won't bother making any kind of compensation for lack of light, because I think a bit darker scenes might actually help with the kind of the look that I kind of prefer in film, which is slightly more dark, moody and contrasty. But to be honest, like I said before, the weather conditions were extremely bright, so I think I did quite well. So of course I also mentioned in that video as well that, and this problem is unique I think to my particular camera and the use of the lap box, in that when you wind the film into the kind of the developing tank, it leaves a little bit of the film out, because you need to obviously clip on to that piece of film in order to wind it around the reel and then develop it in the lap box. Whereas if you use a traditional kind of Patterson tank, you're kind of winding all of the film in a dark bag onto the reel, so you don't have any kind of film which is exposed to light as part of that process. So I think that's just something I'm going to have to live with to a certain extent. I think I'm going to I think I measured the negative, and I think next time I'm going to kind of wind the film on about 3 centimeters past the start mark on the Yashica itself, so that when I then expose 12 images, I'm hopeful that that might then allow 12 full exposures to be kind of captured. When I talk about the images in a bit more detail in a minute, you'll see what happened to the first exposure, and then obviously the last exposure, which I shouldn't have really got, because it was like exposure 13. So I think it was just the positioning of the film in the camera. So right, so let's go over to the computer in a minute, and I'll talk through some of the results, and I'll show you why I selected certain images to include in today's video. So this is the one of the Kingswood Moor College that I talked about in the video. As you can see, the image on the left is the first exposure, so this one was without the yellow filter, whereas the one on the right I did try with the yellow filter. So I've had to move away from a 6x6 crop, because this part of the image was completely white, because it had been completely exposed to light during the development process, because you have to have some film showing in order for the lab box to be able to clip on and wind it onto the reel. But anyway, so definitely in this particular composition, I prefer obviously the one on the right, and you can see a little bit here that you do get a little bit more kind of detail in the sky with the yellow filter. So here we go again. This is the view in Stinsford Church, where Thomas Hardy is buried, or his grave is here, but his ashes are entombed in Westminster Cathedral in London. And I think with this one, the composition on the left is stronger, because I think it's slightly, if you zoom in, I think the one on the right is slightly out of focus, so I didn't quite achieve that kind of critical focus that I did with the left hand side image. And I think because of that, there's a lot more kind of detail that the camera has managed to obtain in the left hand side composition. Yeah, so this image is the one where I talked about in the field, and you can see here that again the filter has managed to pick up a little bit more detail in the sky. You can certainly see the whites a lot better, whereas without the filter the clouds aren't quite as kind of defined in the sky. And you can also see here that the foliage is a lot more kind of contrasty as opposed to the one on the left which was taken without the filter. Yeah, so I think for those reasons in this situation I do prefer the image I captured with the filter on the right hand side. Quite easy to see here, the yellow filter has made much better of the sky, whereas it becomes a little bit muddled on the left. On the right you can actually clearly see the white of the clouds. But it's just a shame that for whatever reason I had to recompose with the filter on, and I couldn't match the kind of the composition of that without the filter on the Yashica. I think this is probably one of my favourite images from the day. So then I moved more into the town of Castleridge itself, and for these reasons I didn't do much more talking, because probably like Thomas Heaton, I don't like talking to the camera when other people are around. The good thing with the Yashica is because you're looking downwards into the viewfinder, not many people pay you too much attention, so I was able to get some good street shots in the remaining kind of exposures. So this one, as you saw from the B-roll earlier, was in front of a kind of a grand hotel in the centre of Dorchester, and this guy was passing the street. But I think the next image of the woman walking up the street is a lot stronger composition. So then I moved on to this part of Dorchester, which was kind of like I think it's called West Walk, near to Borough Gardens in Dorchester. And this isn't my favourite image of the day, because I wish these people weren't in the shot, but I was waiting what seemed like forever to get someone to walk past this kind of ode lantern. I actually think the infrared image that I took in this area was probably better than this, and I'll just throw that up again. Yeah, so this is the infrared image, basically looking the other way from that shot, and I think it's a lot more successful. And then I had to leave Dorchester, so then I had just one exposure left to capture, so I went back to my hometown of Sherborne. But again, the people, it's not ideal, the people are kind of walking away from the camera. But again, you got to love the detail that this camera has been able to kind of extract from the scene, because again, it was very bright out there shooting, and I think it's done a really remarkable job. And I actually did have the yellow filter on when I took this shot, so whether that's kind of helped with the contrast a little bit in this scene, I don't know. But anyway, so that's all the images from today. I hope you enjoyed that. I think taken away from this, I think I'm going to use like I said earlier, I'm going to start using the yellow filter a lot more. And what I'll probably do is I probably won't, like I said, compensate for an additional stop of light. I'll just meter for the scene at the box speed of the film and see what kind of results I get from that, because I'm sure from my kind of experiments here, I think they'll come out just fine. So if you've got any queries or comments about this video or about anything that I've filmed recently, then please let me know in the comments below. I'll be grateful for a like if you enjoyed this video, and yeah, I'll see you next time.